Okay, thanks for listening. This is Noor, and today we're going to talk about an article over at Xbox Wire. And they basically say that, hey, we're going to explain the June update XDK for developers, for gamers. We're going to explain what we did extra for developers when they're making their games in that June XDK update. So basically, what Microsoft is saying is that, hey, 10% of the Xbox One was saved for Connect capability. They're saying now we're going to give developers 100% of the GPU processing power to go in and tinker. They're not going to block anything, set anything aside. They're saying basically, if you make a game and it doesn't have Connect features, you don't have to use the Connect. We're going to give you full access to the GPU. Okay, so a lot of developers are excited about that and are totally reaping the benefits of that extra 10% GPU and the ability to have 100% access to the GPU. So Microsoft is saying, hey, again, what's happening is that you know the 10% is coming from the Connect, and that's basically the skeletal tracking features. So Microsoft is saying, hey, if you're not going to use the Connect to skeletal map anything or a person in your game, then don't worry about it. You do not have to use that. We are saying, hey, here is 100% access to the GPU to make your games run in any way you think. If you want better graphics, if you want a bigger world, if you want 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second standard, without any fluctuations. This is what we're going to give you to access that. And a lot of gamers said, well, do I need the Connect? Microsoft is saying, yes, still keep your Connect plugged in because you still have voice capabilities. Okay, that 10% does not affect voice capability. So you can still say Xbox Snap, Xbox Unsnap, you know, Xbox Record That, Xbox Play Titanfall. So Microsoft is basically saying that there's no need to unplug your Connect to get that 10%. That 10% is solely if developers want to use it. So they'll be the ones to access that 10%. And Microsoft is saying unless it deals with skeletal features, your Connect will not be affected really in any way. All the voice command capabilities are there, will stay there if they use it or not. Okay, so that's good to hear. So a lot of people were excited about that, and they also um, went on to say that when developers, if they do take this 10% and they use it and they use 100% of the GPU, is that when you go out of that game, the Xbox is smart enough to know to reset itself. Okay, to reset itself and say, hey, you're no longer in that game, so we're going to go back to 10% of the Connect being reserved for skeletal tracking features. Okay, so that's also great to hear. And Microsoft said another reason why you don't need to unplug your Connect is because basically there's games out there that run on the Xbox One at 1080p 30 frames per second, 1080p 60 frames per second. We've all played Forza Motorsport 5. We know that's a beautiful, great looking game. And Forza Horizon 2 that's coming out that's adding weather effects. We know that's going to run at 1080p. But like I said, there are games, Wolfenstein, Forza, they are all games that run at 1080p 60 frames per second on the Xbox One. We know the Xbox One is capable of doing that. It all goes down to what gaming engine they're using. Is it optimized? Like Wolfenstein is running at 1080p 60 frames per second because the ID Tech 5 engine. That's a very powerful engine. The only problem with that thing is that it makes huge games. If anybody has seen, how many gigabytes of data that game takes, like close to 30 or 40 gigabytes of data, but somehow they have found a way to get games on the ID Tech 5 engine running at 1080p 60 frames per second. And I'm telling guys out there, developers, if you're making games, you really need to get that engine. If they selling that engine, You really need to get it because Wolfenstein was a very beautiful game. It ran flawlessly at 1080p 60 frames per second on my Xbox One. So I'm just saying out there if any developers are listening. But like I said, Microsoft said they are 100% committed to the Kinect. They have not lost any faith in the Kinect. They believe that the Kinect is what separates the Xbox One from the PS4, and they're fully, like I said, going to support it. They're just saying here, we're going to give developers the advantage of using a little extra GPU and resources. And those people, those developers who have used that extra 10%, like Destiny's Bungie, is really excited. They said the game will run at 1080p. Okay, 30 or 60 frames, we don't know yet, but they said when they got that June update, immediately they saw performance boost big time. Another developer that got their hands on it was the Sunset Overdrive folks. They said, wow, we can use this for anything. Our world is already big. Now we can even make it bigger. And they were also talking about how they love the Azure cloud, having the ability to update their games at any time. They can update the game while you're playing it. Have updates every week, every month, and that's exciting to a developer because they get to see what the gamer's like and they get to add more or less of that. If it's a feature they don't like, they can take that away. And that's what the Sunset Overdrive guys were saying at E3. They said they're really excited not only about being able to access that extra GPU that's going to let them make their game bigger, going to let them add to their game world, but they love the fact that the Azure cloud is going to basically monitor their system, control their AI, control the weather effects, control the environments exploding, and they're able to use extra GPU for that. They're able to update their games. He said he's going to try to update his game at least once a week if he can. He said that's his goal, but he don't want to get quoted as saying that, or once a month at the least. And that's exciting, I say, for a gamer. Not only hearing that Microsoft is saying, hey, we're taking this restriction away. We're giving developers the keys to the car to take full 100% access to the GPU. But the game changer is really Azure, cloud computing. And Microsoft said we got games coming out that's going to show the world what the benefits are to the Azure cloud. And we all know that's Crackdown. So if you haven't played it, get your hands on that. But going a little bit over, and I'm not focused on the article anymore. So let me jump back. Again, Microsoft June XDK update gives developers the access to use 100% of the GPU now. And like I said, again, many developers are happy about this. And those who are happy, who are taking advantage of this, there are now no reasons at all why you shouldn't get a game at 1080p, 30 frames or 60 frames a second. Okay. Now the Diablo folks, they chose at this time. I'm assuming that they're not choosing to use the GPU update because they just came out and said that on PS4, Diablo will run at 1080p, and on Xbox it's going to run at 900p. So just to let you know, that is the Diablo guys. That's the Blizzard guys not taking advantage of the June XDK that has nothing to do with Microsoft. So I hope you folks enjoyed this. And like I said, peace out. Enjoy your day and God bless.